Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The first lecture of the second semester is lipids. In lipids lecture part 1, we will discuss function, structure, and the classification of lipids. As an introduction, we can say lipids are molecules. Lipids are molecules that contain hydrocarbons. Then the first thing you have to put in mind that most components of lipids are hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon means consist of carbon and hydrogen atom. And lipids make up the building blocks of the structure and function of living cell. Even lipids will give the structure and the function of the living cell. Examples of lipids including fats, oils, waxes, certain vitamins such as A, B, C, A, B, D, E, and K. In addition to hormones, another example of lipids, and most of the cell membrane that is not made up of protein, which is considered as a part of the cell membrane. Lipids are not soluble in water. Lipids are not soluble in water as they are nonpolar, but thus soluble in nonpolar solvents such as chloroform or cycloxine. They are isolated from the other biological molecules by extracting them with nonpolar solvent. Biological function of lipids. The first biological function, energy source. Energy source. Lipids provide 9 kilocalories of energy per gram. Then we consider lipids the main source of energy together with carbohydrate. Triglycerides provide energy storage. Then the second function is energy storage. Triglycerides provide energy storage in adipocytes. Phosphoglyceride and sphingolipids, two main classes of lipids, in addition to steroids, are the structural components. The structural component of the cell membrane, which means that they took parts in they form the structure of the cell membrane. Steroid hormones are critical intercellular messenger. Even lipids can work as critical messenger like hormones. Lipid can lipid soluble vitamin A, E, D, K. This for vitamin A, E, D, K very important in the body, but unfortunately cannot soluble in the body. So that lipids can aid to soluble this vitamin and carry this vitamin out into the cell of small intestine in order to gone with the blood to the cell they needed. 7. Lipids can provide shock absorption and insulation. Lipid structure. Lipids composed of chemicals group, mainly two chemical group that form polar head group and non-polar tails. هذا هو polar head group. This is the polar head group, and this is the non-polar tail. In 3-dimensional structure written this way: polar head group and non-polar tail. Usually written in this way: polar head group, who hydrophobic, and non-polar tail. The polar heads are hydrophilic. إذن polar hydrophilic اللي هو usually soluble in water, whereas the non-polar tails are hydrophobic, insoluble in water. إذن هذا هو الجزء اللي محب للماء أو اللي يذوب بالماء، وهذا الجزء هو غير ذائب بالماء. Molecules of this composition spontaneously form aggregate in water solution. When we put molecules, fatty acid molecule, for example, or to explain the behavior of lipids and behavior and structure of it, I prefer to have two examples. The first example is stearic acid, C18, an example of fatty acid which is considered as the main class of lipids. هذا هو C18. This is the polar head group اللي سميناه hydrophilic. This is the hydrophobic term اللي هو hydrocarbon non water insoluble water living ممكن نسميه water living, and this is water living. This is water heating. A three-dimensional structure written this way: the polar head group, the non-polar tail. وممكن يكتب بالشكل التالي الهيدروفيليك أو البولار هيد جروب والتيرل أو اللي هو الهيدروفوبيك. When you put this molecule in water, الجزيئات the head group البولار هيد جروب يحب الماء فيكون باتجاه الماء, while the tail in the opposite side to protect themselves from the water. So the polar head group outside, the hydrophobic tail inside, to form this structure which is called micelles, in water solution. The second example is phosphatidylcholine, an example of phospholipid, another lipid example. هذا هو الفوسفاتيدايلكولين, هذا هو البولا هيد جروب اللون البينك أو الوردي بولا هيد جروب. هذا هو الهيدروفوبيك أو الهيدروفوبيك تيرم. The three-dimensional structure written this way: polar head group, the hydrophobic tail. Okay. In water solution, hydrophilic, البولار head group, and hydrophobic non-polar. هذا هو الستركشر يكتب بالصورة التالية. In water solution, الجزيئات الهيد جروب الهيدروفيليك يكون باتجاه الماء, while the non-polar tail in the other direction, so that to keep themselves from the water. الماء يكون من جهتين, فيكون الشكل التالي هو نسميه الليبيدز باي لاير, واللي يمثل جزء من الخلية يكون بهاي الصيغة. Classification of lipids. Lipids are broadly classified into three types, which are following: simple lipids, complex or compound lipids, الدهون المعقدة والمركبة, derived lipids أو الدهون المشتقة. The first class is simple lipids. Simple lipids, it is ester of fatty acid plus الكحول. ester تنتج من تفاعل fatty acid مع الكحول. Mainly there are two types. الفاتس and oils. The first type أو الفاتس and oil حقيقة يتكون من تفاعل, هو ester يتكون من تفاعل fatty acid مع الكحول. الكحول هنا يكون عندي جليسول, fatty acid مع الكحول يكون عندي بحالة الفاتس and oil هو الجليسول. هذا هو الجليسول, هذا هو الفاتي acid 1, fatty acid 2, fatty acid 3. Because I have 3 OH hydroxide group, so that I need 3 molecules of fatty acid 1, 2, 3. Esterification reaction, elimination of water, we get triglyceride or triacyl glycerol. لما نشوف هذا الستركشر, إذا هذا الستركشر اللي يحتاج جليسول ممكن نسميه fat and oil. The second type of simple lipid is waxes. Waxes is ester of fatty acid with long chain alcohol, other than glycerol. إذن fatty acid plus الكحول. الكحول هنا لو كان عندي glycerol راح يصير فاتر غير, لو كان عندي long chain الكحول راح أحصل على الواكسز. الواكسز هنا عندي OH وحدة, نحتاج fatty acid واحد, تفاعل esterification elimination water to get the ester اللي هو الليبيدز, اللي هو R group is very long chain. The second class of lipids, complex or compound lipids, دهون معقدة أو مركبة, اللي هي still ester of fatty acid plus الكحول plus ester of fatty acid الكحول plus other group. إذن تختلف عن simple lipids, جت عندنا other groups in addition to alcohol and fatty acid. هاي other group ممكن تكون phosphate, carbohydrate or protein. The other group can be phosphate, carbohydrate and protein. Based on the group, بالاعتماد على هاي, complex or compound lipids are further classified into phospholipids, عندما تكون الأذر جروب هي الفوسفات الكلاس يسمى الفوسفوليبيد. عندما يكون الأذر جروب هي الكربوهيدرات الكلاس يسمى الجلايكوليبيد. وعندما يكون الأذر جروب هي بروتين الكلاس يسمى لايبوبروتين. إذا الفوسفوليبيد هي فاتي أسيد بلس الكحول بلس فوسفات، فاتي أسيد بلس الكحول بلس فوسفوريك أسيد اللي يعطينا مجموعة فوسفات، الفوسفات is a nitrogenous base. Based on the type of alcohol, there is further classification of phospholipid depend on the alcohol group. لو كان الكحول هو جليسرول راح نحصل على كلاس يسمى الجليسرول فوسفوليبيد. لو كان الكحول هو الجليسرول نحصل على جليسرول فوسفوليبيد، ولو كان الكحول عندنا هو السفنجوسين راح نحصل على سفنجو فوسفوليبيد. إذا two more categories of phospholipid لو depend on the alcohol group. لو كان الالكحول جروب هي الجليسرول ممكن نحصل جليسرول فوسفوليبيد. لو كان الالكحول هو سفنجوسين راح نحصل على سفنجو فوسفوليبيد. في an example of glycerol phospholipid هو الليسيثين والسيفالين. an example of lipids هو السفنجومايلين. We will deal with this categories in detail within the next lectures. The glycolipid it contains fatty acid plus alcohol plus carbohydrate. The other group here is carbohydrate. They contain sphingomycin. Alcohol usually here is sphingomycin. Alcohol in glycolipid usually sphingomycin as alcohol, and hence so now a glycosphingolipid because they contain sphingosine as alcohol. Two class of glycolipid, serocyte and ganglioside, depending on the unit of the carbohydrate, depending on the unit of the type and number of the unit of the carbohydrate. They classified more referred to cerebroside and ganglioside. The third class is lipoprotein اللي يكون fatty acids plus alcohol plus protein. The other group here is a protein. We have some example of this class of lipids: low density lipoprotein, very low density lipoprotein, and kilomicrons and high density lipids. Derived lipids, these are derivatives of hydrolysis of simple and complex lipids. Even these are the derivatives of hydrolysis of simple and complex. إذا simple hydrolysis تعطينا مركبات which possess the characteristic of lipids. تعطينا مركبات تملك خاصية أو الخصائص اللي تحتها الدهون. This is include lipid soluble vitamins, steroid hormone, hydrocarbons, ketone bodies, and mono and diglycerol and etc. And as a summary, we can say lipids three classes: simple, compounds or complex, and derived lipids. Simple fatty acids plus alcohol, ester fatty acid plus alcohol, depending on the alcohol, is subdivided to three categories: fats and oil, which contain fatty acid plus glycerol, and waxes, which contain fatty acid plus long chain alcohol. Compound lipids contain fatty acid plus alcohol plus other compound. The other compound here, if the other compound here is phosphate, we have another categories: glycerol phospholipid and sphingophospholipid, depending on the alcohol group. And if the other group fatty acids زائد alcohol that other group, if the other group is carbohydrate, we can get two compounds: cerebroside and ganglioside, depending on the kind and number of the carbohydrate unit. Finally, if the compound lipid contain fatty acids, ester and other group, if the other groups are protein, we can get lipoprotein. We have low density lipoprotein, very low density lipoprotein, high density lipoprotein, and kilomicrons. Finally, the derivatives of lipid, which is come from the hydrolysis of lipids uh, and give the structures and compound have the characteristic of lipids. These derivatives including lipid-soluble vitamins, steroid hormones, hydrocarbons, ketone body, and mono and diacetyl. Now we can say thank you for attention and have a nice day. And if you have any question, you can send in to get the suitable answer. Thank you and have a nice day.